who should be your ban priority in this game. The way that me and Neko and our squad has been climbing has definitely been by banning GROOT. GROOT is a priority ban. GROOT, sure, he's not busted. Sure, his kid is not busted. Sure, we have Wolverine to handle him. Surely we have Punisher. Surely we have Squirrel Girl. But we still ban GROOT. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because we keep having people show up to our stream and our chat who claim to be top 500s and Eternity players, but have zero content to show for it, zero clips. They don't want to show up into our lobbies, and they don't want to give us their gamer tag so we can look them up in Marvel Rivals Tracker or whatever other websites where we can check out their stats and stuff. But to be quite honest, guys, we really don't give a fuck. To put it plain and simple, if you're a top 500 and you're showing up to our stream and you don't have any content to show for it, I don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. And I appreciate those of you that show up to the stream and that watch the VODs and tell us that they appreciate our bluntness when we stand by something that we say. And I'm gonna tell you why we don't give a fuck. A lot of you might be finding out about us through Marvel Rivals, but me and Neko have been top 500 and Masters in Apex Legends. We've been top 500 and Grandmasters in Overwatch 1. And we've competed in esports at a pro minor league level. And I competed in Tekken. So all this top 500 stuff and like top ranked player is not new to us. Coupled with the fact that me and Neko don't grind this game day in and day out. We literally just play on Thursday through Sunday, live on our streams, usually 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. EST if you guys wanted to show up. And we only play for like about 4 hours at most. So that means that we're playing 12 hours out of the week. So that means that in basically about 24 hours of season 2, we made it to Grandmaster. What does that say? That if we grinded our asses off and if we didn't do VODs or had somebody that edited our VODs besides us, which we're not gonna do because we like how we edit our own stuff and we're very capable editors and producers, we would be at Eternity. Hell, and even top 500. But we don't. And we don't grind it. Why? Because we understand that the longevity of a YouTube channel, if that's what we want to make as our primary job, because we also work 9 to 5s, is that it's important to constantly be doing VODs and shorts and clips. Streaming is not really going to get you anywhere unless you can sit on your ass in your mom's basement or your parents' house and you have your own room and they're completely feeding you, they're paying your bills and stuff. That's not doable. At least not for people who have 9 to 5s and work, you know. So if you're a content creator, biggest tip I have for you, because it's been working for us and we have like 8+ years of streaming and content creation experience, and you want to be a streamer, you have to do VODs and you have to do shorts more than streaming. And don't be afraid of the FOMO of when you get a lot of viewership on your Twitch stream. If anything, go an extra hour and that's it. After that, you know, get your clips and then edit your VODs and your videos and then just farm that. Don't believe us? Go check out our other social media platforms. We have like 60K on Instagram on one of the accounts, 6K on another one, 5K on another one, 170,000 on TikTok, and so on and so forth. You guys can go check that out if you guys want to go and, you know, check our receipts or whatever. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. This video is about why we banned GROOT, why you should be banning GROOT, why the pros are banning GROOT in the Marvel Rivals Major League Tournament, the Ignite Tournament. And let me retrace my thoughts a little bit. GROOT is not the #1 ban. The #1 ban is Wolverine. But why? Because the pro players want to play GROOT. So when somebody bans Wolverine, that means that they typically want to play GROOT, or on occasions, Mr. Fantastic. So what you're telling me by banning Wolverine is that you're trying to play GROOT. That's our first thought. So that means that the reason why GROOT is amongst some of the top bans, if not the #2 or the #1 contender, most banned character in the pro scene, is because they banned Wolverine. Because the easiest counter for a GROOT is a Wolverine. You can chop him up, you can break his walls, you have survivability, and you can kidnap him out of his walls back into your team and basically annihilate him. So that if in fact you guys end up trading tank for tank, it's a GROOT versus whatever your other tank was. But here's my issue with why we banned GROOT. The issue why we banned GROOT as our first pick every single time, which has helped us win games and climb in rank, which by the way, if you're stuck in gold or up, ban GROOT. It's gonna make your life easier. But the reason why we ban GROOT is because not only do we stack, so that means that we play against other stacks, but we don't full stack. We're either a team of 3 or a team of 4, in which case the majority of the time, because our MMR shows that our stack is extremely skilled, ends up putting us with 2 randoms who have been on losing streaks. So they put us in the loser queue bracket. How do we know this? Because if we lose a game, we check stats, and then we notice our healer has like 70k healing versus 30k healing. Our tanks have both 60k damage taken versus like our DPS doing as much, like doing less damage than enemy DPS damage, and all these other stats that are key indicators as to why they put us into a loser queue bracket. Sometimes we get put into a winner's queue bracket where we just completely stomp out the competition, and it's a game that lasts like 5 minutes. So we ban GROOT because even if our randoms play or main Wolverine, I don't trust them. I don't trust them. We as a team don't trust them because every single time they'll tell us, I'll play Punisher, I'll play Squirrel Girl, I'll play Wolverine, and then they don't end up breaking walls for the people who decide to tank. So that means that you come into this game already with a divided mindset between the players, and we're gonna allow a character whose sole job is to physically divide the team exist in the playing field? No. Why are we doing that? That's our thought. That's one of our thought processes on that. But me, as somebody who's the flex DPS / tank of the team, understand that our randoms are not gonna come back and help out our backline, meaning our support players. So my primary reason as to why I ban GROOT or why our team bans GROOT is to help our healers, especially if one of our healers is a random, because they have a billion and one of other things to worry about. They have to worry about getting dove on. What are you gonna do, Magic or Black Panther or Spidey, if GROOT walls you off from your support and you get no heals and you can't get to a health pack? Because we have very capable healers on our team. I always tell our randoms, I was like, dude, we keep our healers up, we win these games. Defend them at all costs, because Neko is an extremely skilled healer. You guys have seen that in the streams, and so is Jumpy. Jumpy is a goated Loki player, but he's also an extremely good tank and DPS player. And Jumpy is the one player that I have full blind trust in playing Wolverine that will annihilate GROOT as Wolverine was intended to. Our other Wolverines, not so much. I think I can even go as far as saying that we've played with maybe one good Wolverine on our team this entire season who was a random. And I played with another good Wolverine player that trusted my GROOT ban, and I told them, because we banned GROOT, more than likely they're gonna run a Mr. Fantastic and a couple of shield tanks, either Magneto or Doctor Strange. What is Wolverine? Wolverine is a melee type character, and melee type characters hit through shields. They don't just break the shields, they hit through shields. They do cleaving, what's called cleaving damage. And Wolverine can bully those shield heroes. You can still get value out of Wolverine without having to fight GROOT and give your supports a headache. How about instead you ban GROOT, right? And you let your good support players pocket the living hell out of you so you can just be a menace both in the front line and in the back line. It makes your life easier. You can excel at your role, and then the supports don't have such a hard time playing their selfless role. And at the same time, the tanks that are supposed to create space for you and help you get back into your backline to get your heals off or to survive can do that for you without getting blocked off or having to trade tank for tank. And what's funny is that I tried to explain this to these supposed top 500 as if I haven't played with top 500 or Eternity players in my lobbies. Like, some of our friends who are in Eternity and play this game religiously are in top 500, are in Eternity. They have the badges. They love to play with us. They're like, I wish you guys would play more often so that I could play with you guys at the higher ranks. And we've had this conversation with them before about how soloing your way up to Eternity and top 500, a lot of the times, if you're a skilled player, is easier than playing in a stack. And they've told us this. And by the way, they also love to ban GROOT. We have this really good Emma player friend who's an Eternity and top 500 player, Deja Vu, and he's like, bro, I love playing with you guys because you guys fucking ban GROOT. Fuck that ninja. Because he's a homie. And I play Human Torch. Human Torch has been nerfed to the ground. I would have been okay with less GROOT bans this season if Human Torch wasn't as weak as he is right now, bro. His cooldowns, I completely force him to just sit in backline, which kind of sucks. And you really have to use your entire kit just to break walls. Like, doesn't make sense. Because you could at least, where you could just create the flame field, and then the flame field itself would take care of any walls that were erected by GROOT, while you focus the rest of your kit on fighting supports or other DPS, or even like melting the tanks themselves. But you can't do that with Human Torch as aggressively as he used to. So yeah, I just banned GROOT. And what's crazy is that if I have a tank player or random that he's like, hey, I play GROOT, we give him the chance and we give him the opportunity, and then they're like, yeah man, no, like I'm GROOT, bro, like I'm so good, like I'm such a good GROOT, like I'm the best GROOT there is. And we're like, okay, sure, we give them the opportunity. And I'll just be like, okay, I'll just run Punisher off the rip and Squirrel Girl in case like their GROOT just happens to be better, and it turns out that he is like our opponent Groot ends up not being Groot. That guy is not just Groot. That guy is the fucking tree, bro. That guy, he's the guy. He's the Groot. And he makes our Groot look like the twig. And then our twig swats off and never plays Groot again for the rest of his career Marvel Rivals. That's what ends up happening. Which is, again, why I don't trust our randoms. And again, going back to what I was saying about how we have had conversations with top 500 and Eternity players who are our friends who say that solo queuing 100% is easier to climb in ranks if you're a skilled player. They have always told us that when they stack, it's more difficult to climb in ranks. But there's a reason to that. And the reason to that is that when you're playing solo queue, you're not really playing in a team versus when you're stacking. When you're stacking, you have at least 3+ people communicating and synchronizing ult combinations, doing call outs, all mics on, and you get put up against opponents who are just like that on a team, and it's about who's the better team or which team can, you know, overpower the other team. When you're solo queuing, you have the freedom to ban the one character that counters you, first of all. And you can even ban 2 characters that counter you. Hell, the opponent might help you ban 4 characters that counter your character. And the reason why people succeed so much at solo queuing, if you're a really good player, is because it's a constant 1v1 in a match. A majority of the time, you're 1v1ing another player who's not talking to all 5 other of his teammates a majority of the time. And I say this like that, a majority of the time, because they could be communicating, but they just don't know each other and they have 0 teamwork going on. And what ends up happening is that if you're a better player and you go up against another player who is less skilled than you, you can get away with making mistakes, finish your 1v1, and then go gang up on another player who's having another 1v1 with somebody else. That's literally what it is. It's finish your 1v1 and then go gang up on another dude. And that's how solo queue works. That's how it's always worked in Overwatch. That's how solo queuing has worked in many other games that are team-based. And then unfortunately, what ends up happening is that a lot of the times these people who play on solo queue end up getting put in a team that's stacking, and then they go into this stack and they don't realize that they're making mistakes that they typically play when they're playing with a solo queue mentality, which are more punishable by a team that is fully synchronized. That's the difference between solo queuing and stacking. And a lot of people have told Neko and a lot of people have told me, oh, you guys should just like solo queue in separate divisions or whatever. It's like, no, dude, like we're a husband and a wife, and the reason why we enjoy doing this together is because it's fun to play with each other video games. And at the end of the day, she's such a good support and I'm a really good DPS and tank that we help each other play to the best of our capabilities and our abilities a majority of the time, you know, when one of us isn't slacking. Sometimes I'd be like, we're not perfect, dude. That's the reality of it. Yesterday I had a game where I was doing terrible with Spider-Man. The enemy made fun of me for it, and then I swapped to Iron Fist, and then I locked the fucking with Iron Fist and I beat the shit out of them, and I got MVP and everything. But to be a good player in this game, that's when you also have to kind of admit to yourself that you're not being good with the character that not only you want to play or the character that was needed. Sometimes you need to be able to understand that you need to make the swap that's going to help the rest of the team. And my swap in that game in particular was swap to Iron Fist because backline needs to be dove on, but Iron Fist has more survivability than Spider-Man if the enemy has a crap ton of CC, which was what's happening. I kept getting choked out by Emma, pulled back by Bucky, and then pulled back by Invisible Woman. But because Iron Fist has his guard, I get overshield, and my tanks and my healers made it to me on time. This game is about getting value out of your character. It's about how can you be the most valuable to your team. And it all starts with the bans. So that's why we ban Groot. And it's so funny how people can't understand that when we ban Groot not because we're being selfish, but we're trying to help benefit the rest of the team, especially if you hover over Black Panther and Magic and you guys clearly want to dive as DPS, right? And I'm like, all right, I'll tank this one. Don't bitch and complain about us wanting to ban Groot, because the reason why we're trying to ban Groot is so that we can freaking pocket the hell out of you diving their backlines and save you when you guys come over here and throw heals and make sure that you guys, if you don't have the ability to get to a health pack, you guys get back to us. But again, that's also part of the solo queue mentality mistakes and mindset that they don't understand, because they're more than likely one tricks that don't understand how the other characters play and how their cooldowns work, and because they've never touched support or have never touched tank or have never touched hit scan DPS or any other type of DPS that wasn't like dive or their freaking hit scan DPS, they don't have that character knowledge. And that is why one tricks suck, because they don't have the ability to put themselves in other players and other characters' shoes to end up outplaying them. Learning to not be a one trick doesn't mean that you shouldn't one trick your character. Learning the other characters just means that if you're gonna end up one tricking a character, right? If that's what you want to do, knowing how the other characters work because you've played them and you have enough hours on them is only gonna help you be a better one trick. And because people don't do that as one tricks, they suck as one tricks. But yeah, that's my spiel on that. I am going to forever continue to keep banning Groot. Forever. Like, I'll be more lenient if they fix Human Torch again, or if Phoenix has enough AoE damage that just constantly puts damage over time onto his walls. But like, even then, she's not gonna be able, in my opinion, to be as viable because she doesn't have that bird's eye view that Human Torch had to just put constant damage on walls for Groot, for your team not to get cut off. And if you're solo queuing or you're dual stacking or you guys yourselves are stacking, keep banning Groot as a priority. That's my 2 cents. I mean, what works for us might not work for you guys. That's another point that I wanted to make, but at least for our stack, it's been working. 90% of the time that we end up streaming, whether if that's just like 1 or 7 games positive that we went and we climbed up in regs, it's helped us. And we've gotten so far to Celestial 2 by only playing 12 hours at most during the week. And again, I will mention that the Pro League constantly banned Groot for a reason. Even 6 stacks that were playing for millions of dollars were also banning Groot because they understand how capable the character is in situations where it gets chaotic and they can't really communicate or regroup enough to be able to handle Groot as a threat. And when you're playing ranked, and you're playing with randoms, the chances of you guys grouping up and handling a threat like Groot, not because the character is busted or his kit is busted, but because there's no team synchronization or teamwork happening, he will dominate. And that's why Groot dominates. And lastly, because the DPS are too lazy, or rather not lazy, they just don't want to sit there and do the boring job of playing Punisher and Squirrel Girl and just blasting walls consistently. Which, by the way, applies the same thing to Emma. Emma is like a Doctor Strange, Groot, melee tank hybrid. Because I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Emma Frost, if you hold down her shield ability, can project it to go far ahead so that her shield can block heals from hitting whoever's pushing up from the enemy tank. So DPS and supports together need to handle breaking Emma's shield, just like they need to handle breaking Groot walls. Great support character to play against a Groot, by the way, is also Loki. Loki bursts down walls like crazy. And we did have a Loki, but we also had a Punisher that one game. And we had a Moon Knight and we had a Squirrel Girl, but they just wanted to go flank. They wanted to go flank and not break down walls. So our tanks were getting effed, and they didn't want to push up when the tanks were getting space either. So that happened. But anyways, let me know your thoughts. Comment down below if you agree, disagree. And again, respectfully, congratulations to you if you made it to Eternity and top 500. I don't give a fuck, especially if you're going to come to my stream and insult my wife about it. At the end of the day, Eternity players and top 500 players are playing either by solo queuing or duo queuing, but probably mostly solo queuing. And at that point, top 500 in Eternity is an ego check. I've literally seen top 500 in Eternity games where everybody's just agreeing to play DPS and it's about who can eliminate each other, or they'll choose to go no tanks and it's 3 DPS versus 3 supports or whatever, or all tanks. Like, top 500 in Eternity is a joke in the funny sense of the word that is just literally an ego trip. A majority of the time it's not even like a tournament. It's like literally some of the most chillest games ever, because at that point everybody's just having fun, and at that point everybody hit top 500 in Eternities, and what they're doing is that they're smurfing, which I wouldn't really call smurfing, bro. Like, it's literally, I don't even consider that smurfing. That's just them going into their alt accounts because they want to protect their rank, and I respect that. It's fine. Totally agree with that. Nothing wrong with that, because I'm pretty sure that it's a pain in the butt to get there. It took a long time, and I'm sure that they want to keep the rewards they get from that, you know. And also, alternate accounts are a good way to also learn different characters. So if somebody's playing constantly tank or DPS or something, they get to learn the other characters, as I mentioned before. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Perfect. The biggest off ever that we've ever seen.
Neko, look at me. Neko, look at me. Okay. I've been here the whole time.
No, don't get too cocky. Vengeance is mine.
No, we good.
You can do that?
Game, boys.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, GG.
Nice. We locked the fuck in. Yeah,
We won.
fuck
Good stuff.
them. Fuck them.
Oh, they were trying to counter triple here.
And they couldn't because they're trash. Well, yeah, we won.
Man, imagine if they made domination go too.
That was the biggest unk ever, dude. Did you unk them?
Just of Khonshu.